So is the housing market about to boom, or is it headed for a total crash? I mean, you hear a different story every single day, right? Well, what if I told you the answer is both, and also neither? We've dug deep into the analysis, and by the end of this, you are going to have a crystal clear picture of what's really going on and what it means for you. Okay, let's get into it.
Here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll talk about this massive split happening in the market. Then, we'll look at the two big forces pulling it in opposite directions. After that, we'll examine a new risk that's kind of bubbling just under the surface. And finally, we'll give you a straight-up forecast and your personal game plan for what to do next.
All right, let's just cut right to the chase. This is the big one. The question on literally everyone's mind. Whether you own a home, you're trying to buy one, or you're just keeping an eye on the economy, you want to know, which way are we headed?
And here's the answer. It is not a simple boom or bust. What we're actually seeing is something the source material calls the Great Divergence. The best way to think about it is like a giant tug of war. You've got big home builders on one side, slashing prices, pulling the whole market down. And on the other side, you have this crazy low inventory of existing homes for sale that's keeping those prices propped up.
So if we really want to understand where things are going in 2026, we have to look at both sides of this tug of war. We have to unpack what these forces are that are pulling in completely opposite directions. Let's start with the side that's pulling prices down. So clue number one comes from the folks who actually build the houses. And what they are doing right now, well, it's the loudest, clearest signal that prices are under pressure. They are in the middle of an all-out price war.
You know, you really have to get into the mindset behind this quote. See, you or me, we can decide not to sell our house and just wait for a better price. But a massive builder like Lennar, they can't do that. They've got payroll to meet, shareholders to answer to, huge costs. They have to sell houses to stay in business. And that leads to this super aggressive strategy. Just sell more houses, even if you make a little less on each one.
And this isn't just some theory, okay? This is the cold, hard data. In the last quarter of 2025, Lennar, one of the biggest builders in the entire country, saw its average sales price drop by over 10% from the year before. I mean, that is a huge, huge drop.
And this chart just lays it all out visually. You can see the prices tumbling from around $430,000 in early 2024 all the way down to a projected $365K. Now, here's why that matters so much. This basically creates a price ceiling for everyone else. Think about it. If you're trying to sell your 10-year-old house for $400 grand, but a brand new home is for sale down the street for $375 and they're throwing in incentives, yeah, you've got a problem.
Okay, now let's talk about the other side of the rope in this tug of war. This is the force pulling things in the other direction, but it's not in a good way. This isn't about home values going up. It's about the cost of just owning the home you're in. It's like this hidden inflation that's hitting homeowners right in the wallet.
I mean, check out this real-world example from a town in Pennsylvania. To cover their budget shortfall, the town just flat out doubled the wage tax. For a typical family, poof, that's an extra $500 a year just gone. And this is happening all over America as federal pandemic money runs out. Towns are raising taxes, and that burden falls right on homeowners. And that $500, that's money that's not being spent at the local pizza place or hardware store.
And then you've got insurance. Oh, man. In states like Florida, the state-run insurance company is basically kicking hundreds of thousands of people off its cheaper plan and forcing them into the more expensive private market. There's this rule that says if a private company offers you a policy that's within 20% of your current one, you have to take it. So what happens? A lot of people get hit with an automatic 19.9% rate hike year after year. It's brutal.
So with all these costs squeezing family budgets, where are people finding the cash? Well, that leads us to the next critical piece of this puzzle. The home is once again becoming a personal ATM machine. And that's creating a whole new layer of risk we need to talk about.
Okay, this slide right here, this explains everything. A mind-blowing 77% of homeowners in America have a mortgage rate under 6%. They are not moving. No way are they giving up a 3% mortgage for a 7% one. This is the lock-in effect, and it's why nobody's selling. But when they need cash, they can't refinance, so what do? They take out a second loan.
And boy, are they doing it. To the tune of over $422 billion. That's billion with a B. That's how much outstanding debt Americans have on these home equity lines of credit, or HELOCs. They're keeping that sweet, cheap mortgage, but then they're stacking another, often variable rate, loan right on top.
Now here's where it gets really, really risky. A lot of people are taking out these HELOCs to pay off their high-interest credit cards.
On the surface, that sounds smart, right? But what they're actually doing is trading unsecured debt for secured debt. Here's the difference. If you default on your credit card, your credit score gets destroyed. It's bad, but if you default on the HELOC you used to pay off that credit card, you can literally lose your home. The stakes are just infinitely higher.
All right, so let's recap. We've got new home prices falling, the costs of just owning a home are soaring, and there's a mountain of this new HELOC debt building up. This is the point where everybody gets nervous and starts having flashbacks to 2008. So let's bring our investigation to a close and deliver the verdict. Let's just put the question out there. With all of these pressures, all these warning signs, are we on the brink of another catastrophic housing crash? The answer, based on all the data, is a very firm no, and this slide shows you exactly why. It's the critical difference. 2008 was a story of high foreclosures and homeowners having little to no equity. Today, it is the complete opposite. Foreclosures are still historically low, and homeowners are sitting on record-breaking amounts of equity. That equity acts like a giant financial firewall, a safety net that just wasn't there in 2008. And hey, don't just take our word for it. Look at what the big institutions are predicting for 2026. You've got Zillow, the National Association of Realtors, Redfin, Goldman Sachs. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is calling for a crash. They're all seeing a market that's basically flat to maybe slightly up. The word they use is a stabilization or a reset. Prices cool off, but they don't collapse because there are still so few homes for sale. Okay, so a reset, not a crash. That's the verdict. So let's wrap this up by turning all this data into a clear, actionable game plan. What should you actually do in this crazy Great Divergence market?
It's actually pretty straightforward. If you're a buyer, the real opportunity is with new construction. The builders are the only sellers out there who are genuinely motivated to cut a deal right now. If you're a seller, listen up. The days of insane bidding wars are over. You're now competing directly with those brand new homes, and you have to price your home to win that competition. And for everyone, homeowner, buyer, seller, the biggest risk isn't your home's value dropping. It's the cash flow squeeze. The real danger is ending up house rich, but cash poor.
And that really leaves us with this final thought to chew on. For the next few years, the most important question in housing isn't going to be about your Zestimate or what your net worth looks like on paper. With taxes and insurance going up and up, the real question is all about your monthly budget. It's not, what's my house worth? It's, can I afford to keep